Hi, so welcome along to this member showcase for the Training Designers Club. I'm absolutely delighted that one of our VIP members, Clare Samuels, who is an expert in drama and is actually a trained actress, has come up with something that we have been crying out for donkey's years, which is decent videos to include in our training, because my Lord, you can lose hours looking for a decent video on YouTube, and you're very lucky to find one because most of them are pretty rubbish, to be honest. So I'm pleased that Clare has been working on this in the background and she's here to tell us all about it. So Clare, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sheridan. Lovely to see you, and thank you very much for having me here this morning. And thank you, everybody, and lovely to see you, Natalie, lovely to see you, Chris, and welcome to Trainer TV. And yay! And we are very much in our infancy, so it's wonderful to have this platform today. And I have developed what I can call in these lovely closed groups, but probably when we go public I can't, but I call it a Netflix for trainers. So it's a subscription service and I'm targeting trainers that have their own businesses. They can subscribe to Trainer TV on a monthly basis, and then they can access during that month that they are subscribed, or for however long they want to, they can access lots of different very short clips that they can use as part of their training and part of their learner's journey. So I've got quite a few topics already that I've made. The wonderful news about getting on board early on is that I'm really keen, as this is such a new startup, to say to you all, what videos do you want? What are you training? How can I make my service bespoke to you? And myself and another couple of actors will be in the studio every month for 2 days. So if you get those into me, then when we've got those 2 days in the studio, we can make those films for you, and then we can put those on the platform. And as we are so early on, that's how I'd really like to work for now. And I'm also really keen for new members to give me feedback and say, actually, Clare, you're using the aid model, for example, but I'd really like to use Boost, or this is working really well, but it's too long. And that's very much what I think Sheridan has done. She set up this incredible subscription service, and she had her own ideas, and then she listens to members' feedback. And if we say A or B, she'll want to bring it in. So I'm not copying you, Sheridan. I'm just learning from your expertise and brilliance.
I'll take that. Thank you very much. But it's the best way to go, isn't it? There's no point in creating something which is fantastic that nobody wants.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. And actually, just while you say that, Sheridan, the wonderful Mark Williams from Giraffe Pad has just recommended this book to me, The Lean Startup, which is exactly as you say, Sheridan. I don't know, I've got an idea that it's Netflix for trainers, but I don't know 100% what individual trainers want, etc. So that's why, as you say, it's really good for us all to learn together as we go along. So I suppose I'll open this out to all three of you, but if you were running a training course and you might want to use a clip, whereabouts in your learner's journey, Natalie and Chris, where might you do that? I'm so sorry, Natalie, you're on mute.
I am. You see, I felt like we haven't done that for a while.
Exactly.
Let me do it again. For me, it could be in a range of places. So what's springing to mind for me at the minute, as you were talking then, is I run a grad program. So I do a lot of other stuff. I often talk about grad program, but grad programs, it's 2 years. So it's quite involved in the coming back, together thing. So I'm just redesigning it now, which is why this is really interesting. That's my week, actually. My week is to kind of pull the skeleton kind of straw man together for it, and to kind of put some meat on some bones around it. And so that could be in between the workshops. I want to do more of giving them stuff to do, which I haven't done in the past. So that they come having done stuff, but also during. So, let's break it up. Let's watch a video. So in all honesty, for me, it could be anywhere. I do think there's a real lack of resources tailored to the grad population. Often it's geared towards managers or new managers. There's not a lot that goes this is for someone who is kind of on that early journey but isn't a manager. You know, that kind of, and how you get that across in the video, I don't know, but definitely that's what's on my mind right now.
Yeah, lovely.
I think I would, but back in the day when I used to do corporate training, when you'd introduce a model to people who there may be managers, but this may be a new area for them. So, for example, having a performance management conversation would be a typical thing. So you obviously, you introduce a model, you explore that, you think about, well, how might this look and why do we do it the other? But then it still feels like a big leap from talking about it to actually doing it. So I think actually seeing someone do it helps to bridge that gap a little bit.
I agree wholeheartedly. The transferring into the application piece is the real gap, especially for people who have no. So one of the challenges I always have with the grad program is with all the manager stuff I do, you can talk about their experiences. So, you know, let's talk about one of those scenarios where you're trying to talk to someone in your team and they're not, you know, they're having a go, or they're not willing to listen, or they don't want to develop, or they think they're already brilliant, or whatever. Like, you can draw on that experience. Grads, you can't. So it's brand new. I did a session with them on feedback, and they're like, I don't give feedback. I don't even know what you mean. Like, this is where we're at. So trying to give them those skills when there is not a lot of context around it. So to be able to go, this is what I mean. Like, here's a video. When I'm talking about feedback, this is what it looks like. So I can give them models and I can talk about it, but it really does bring it to life when you go, this is an example of SBI. SBI is the feedback model I use. So you mentioned age. SBI, situation, behavior, impact, is a model I use a lot. And just instead of talking about it, having a video would be so helpful. So helpful.
Great, Natalie. Thank you very much. Thank you. And yes, Sheridan, you're absolutely right. It does bridge the gap. It does bring it to life. And just one thing, Natalie, that's interesting, we can talk again offline about it, but for example, with a grad program, what might be really nice, because you said there, I wouldn't, you know, I don't always know which video it might be good to use. What would be lovely is to have a monologue of an actor who is in their very early 20s, and that character, let's call them Tom, but Tom's just graduated, and what we're doing through Tom's monologue is we're reflecting all the behaviours that your grads in front of you are thinking and feeling. So rather than as a trainer us saying, oh, I know how you feel, I know you've not got the experience, I understand that, we just start off by saying, oh, let me introduce you to my friend Tom. Tom's just
I love that.
And then Tom says everything that you know about. And then they go, oh, Natalie, I can't believe it. I feel like that. I get that. And then what you can do later is you could say, you know, what, you know, how could you help Tom? What would you advise Tom to do? And then they'd say, well, actually, I might ask him to look at this model or read this book or whatever, you know. So it's just a lovely, it's a different medium to get people excited and engaged.
It is. It really is. And Tom could almost be an extra grad on the programme, couldn't he?
Yeah.
It just happens to be on the screen instead.
Yeah,
really good.
If I could just piggyback off that, because that was the thought that was sort of coming to my mind, was that if you, it's almost like you're telling a story and you're using the character and you're acting it out. And so, exactly as you were saying, Natalie, you know, we introduce, you know, we meet this character who's this person that's going through the same experience that my people on the training course are going through. And they're, you know, just through their dialogue, introducing a concept or a model. So I work around like change management and helping people to have better conversations. So obviously that's a massive example, you know, working through conflict and communication. And also, you know, that mental fitness, that resilience side of, you know, here's the sort of self-talk that we often engage in that's not helpful. How can we turn this around? What can we do? And I can see a great way of almost like, I mean, when you say Netflix, I think of like a series or a stories, and you want to like binge watch it, don't you? And it's kind of the same. I can think of the same idea here of like you have these but you have these characters, and they're sort of going through whatever this concept is that we're talking about. You know, whether it's difficult conversations is the first one that I immediately thought, oh my God, this is absolutely a great use of this. But obviously, equally a skill like leadership or speak. I mean, it could be any sort of skill. and you see someone kind of progress on this journey, or, you know, it just kind of makes it a bit more interesting to kind of, here's the, you know, here's the scarf model, or here's the change curve, or here's the, oh, okay, yeah, that's all very interesting. But when I actually, you know, what is this like in practice? And then you can put something like this out there, and you can have people engaging in a dialogue, and I go, oh my God, yeah, that's what the people in my organization are saying, whatever. And you just bring it to life. And I think it's more attention grabbing, it's far more engaging, and it's, to be honest, a bit more fun. And I also think it's quite valuable for them to hear another voice in the room besides just the trainer as well. So yeah, I can see, I mean, my mind's going, you know, I can see lots of applications for this. So I think it's, yeah, really cool. But I'd almost think of it as like, how can I binge on some characters that are going through some of these different experiences? Because I would totally be hooked for that, I think.
Yeah, I love that, Chris. I love that whole narrative of the story and the arc of the journey. Especially if you're doing 4 modules, then we have Tom, and we see Tom, and Tom's maybe nailed feedback. Now he's got a nail coaching 2 weeks down the line. Hey guys, how's Tom getting on? And then Tom zooms in. And there's loads of different things that we can do, but I can make those bespoke. And because of technology, what's really lovely is even if I did a Zoom video for you and I could do monologues. And then sometimes what I've done with other clients is they say, oh, Claire, will you be free at any time this afternoon, you know, in 2 weeks time? And then we'll get a 20-minute slot, and they go, oh, I'm training, can you just zoom in as Jean? And they go, oh, guess what, Jean's here. And then you can bring Jean in live. There's so much, and they're like, oh, I can't believe it, we've been following Jean for 6 weeks and now she hears. And I go, yeah, but Chris has been training me for 6 weeks, so I feel more confident, and all of that. It's lovely. They love all that.
Claire,
I love that. I love that.
Do you see developing these videos as a, I mean, initially I'm guessing maybe what you've come up with at the moment is maybe you've got some specific topics that you've chosen, that you've made videos around. But I mean, going forward, what would be really powerful is obviously if you could team up with the trainer, and the trainer says, right, here's my content, here's my course, you know, what can we do that would support that? And then you kind of collab, because obviously then they can say, look, here's the concepts or the ideas or the tools or the models or the whatever it is that I'm trying to impart with them. So would you be open to then like some sort of collaboration with the trainer on a course to do? I mean, obviously that video could still be relevant to other people's content, but then do you see what I'm saying? You're kind of collaborating with that trainer. Would you do that?
Exactly, Chris. That's exactly. I've done that with a number of trainers. And that's exactly the way that I want to move forward, because then we're all sharing expertise then, and you get some brilliant bespoke videos. I get those videos on a platform. We've collaborated with ideas. It can be a real win-win. So yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do that. It's exciting.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Have you got any videos that you can give us a sneak preview of?
I was just going to ask that.
I have, Sheridan, I have.
Assuming that the technology will allow you to share sound and all the rest of it, it should do.
It should do, Sheridan, shouldn't it?
It should.
In this day and age. So you were talking, so I have I can open it up. So I've got some coaching, some feedback, I've got the colors, the different insight personality types, unconscious bias, one-to-ones, listening. What works really beautifully, or can work very beautifully, if you're a fan of fun and humor, which I know all 3 of you are. My 3 passions are acting, comedy, and learning and development. So I've tried to incorporate all 3 in my video. You can be the judge of whether they're funny or not. That's fine. I do lots of comedy courses. I'm trying to get better. I don't think I am, but I'm trying very hard. But team, yes, what's lovely to do, either as a sort of pre-course work or as an icebreaker, but I've made some little fun videos where people are doing it badly. So for example, bad feedback, bad interviewing. So you could start with, okay guys, have a look at this and show it. And immediately everybody, they love, as you all know, they love to say, well, they didn't do that very well, and I wouldn't have done it like that, and they need to do this. And everyone's like, you know, sometimes you can't get people going. They've all got their hands up, be it virtual or their own hand, and they go this way. So you can start to build a beautiful skills list. And what's great for us as trainers is the majority of things that we know we will have told them by 4 o'clock, they're starting to tell us at 9:30, and they're telling us, how cool is that? We're not having to say to them, oh, do this, or we recommend that. They're saying, oh, they shouldn't be doing this. And then you can go back and explore all of those topics. So very often they'll say body language, tone of voice, the language. And then you can say later on, when you come to your tone of voice part. So Mark, you said this morning about Jane's tone of voice. It was quite boring and monotone. What did you mean by that? And you can keep linking it back to the films. Yes, team. So does anybody have a preference? I can show you anything. coaching feedback, yeah, the colours.
Oh, well, feedback could be interesting.
Yeah, I'd go feedback first.
So
Yeah.
shall we, I was gonna say, shall we do maybe do maybe feedback or yeah, feedback
Lovely,
or some
thank
sort of
you.
listening or coaching would be great.
Lovely, fantastic.
I-
What I'll do next time. Sorry, Sheridan.
I just say, as you're queuing that up, Claire, I think the other nice thing with showing, because it's easy to find examples of things done badly, but they're almost cringeworthy, aren't they, sometimes? But I think the other benefit of showing people, well, this is so-and-so and they're doing it badly, is it might actually reassure people on the course to go, well, at least I'm not as bad as that. So, I am a bit worried about exposing my lack of experience, or I don't really know what I'm doing, but at least I'm not as bad as that. So it might just relax people a little bit as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice.
and sorry, Claire, just a quick question. I mean, what's kind of the average length of time that the videos are?
Yeah, poor practice is probably between 40 seconds and 2 minutes.
Okay.
And I've got different feedback. So I've got a sort of a 30-second and 1.5 and a 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then good does tend to be a little bit longer. But yeah, maybe around 2 minutes.
That's
okay.
perfect.
I mean, that's ideal. I guess my thought was,
is.
so that are they about sort of 5 minutes or less, or are they a bit more
Less.
than that, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, because that's perfect. Yeah, because you
Yeah.
can slot in a 5-minute.
No.
Okay, that's
Exactly.
brilliant. Okay.
And then Chris, just to follow on from that. So for example, with the with managing performance, the appraisals, I've got those, I think, in 5 separate clips when we do best practice. So you've got the welcome, and you've got the looking at the form together, and then you've got the managers giving feedback. Then you've got the rating as an own video on its own. Then you've got setting goals and smart objectives for next year. So you could do 2 days on appraisals, couldn't you?
That's brilliant.
You can
I
have
love that.
5 separate videos, and all the wording comes up as well. Interview skills with WASP. So again, you've got the welcome, and then stops, and then acquire information, supply information, and passing. So you've got 4 videos to that. So I've tried to break them down when they're slightly longer.
Really like that.
Do you have the subtitles with them? Just to, if you do introduce some kind of a concept or model, or whatever, because sometimes it's helpful just to kind of see that for their own. Yeah, you got that too. Great.
Yeah.
I knew you'd have all the bases covered, Claire. So
It's true.
Great. So I'll share this video. If you'd be kind enough when it starts, if you just let me know that you can see and hear it, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, can see that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hey, Jane. Yeah, good, thanks. Just on a break.
Oh, yeah, busy actually. A quick word, Matt. One of the directors has said you've been in late recently a few times.
Who said it?
Well, I can't say.
Was it Mick?
I can't say, it'd be unprofessional.
Was it Mick, though?
Well, yeah, it was, but don't tell him I told you.
Oh, I can't believe this. He's always had it in for me.
Look, the thing is, Matt, please, can you just get here on time? It looks bad on me. I have enough hassle with the powers that be. It makes me look like I can't manage my team effectively.
Well, the thing is, I've actually been having a bit of a headache at the moment with the roadworks on the ring road.
Yeah, sure, but please, Matt, I just need you to get here on time.
Yeah, okay, I will try. I will do my best.
You probably just need to get up earlier.
Yeah, okay, I've said I'll try.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Claire, just to say this, I don't know if it's everybody else, but I've got a real delay on my screen.
It was a little bit disjointed, wasn't it? But the sound was perfect, so you can get the gist of it.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely getting the gist of it. It's probably because it's going from one Zoom to another Zoom, and
yeah, but I do need to sort that out. So thank you very much. Brilliant feedback.
I thought that was great because it wasn't OTT.
No.
Like a lot of the American stuff is really over the top, isn't it? And that's the sort of conversation that you would have, like, get off my back.
I was just going to say that. I reckon that's really typical of, I just need to tell them this, and then it will be fixed, and I'll have done it really well.
And it wasn't overly. It wasn't
scripted.
They didn't go over the top with the conflict. How dare you do that? Which again, that's not realistic, is it?
No, because sometimes you can feel like these things are a little bit too exaggerated, but you want enough to kind of make the point that this obviously is the ideal way to do it, but yet without people going, oh, come on, they're really acting, but it just kind of looks like they're just having a conversation. So it was great.
And also, I think when they are over extreme, the message is lost because we focus on the acting and the extremity of it, rather than actually what's happening. Whereas that, because it was so normal, I think you kind of go, what is going on here, and what isn't good about that conversation, what didn't work. It comes really easily. The focus is right, I guess, is what I'm saying. I like that a lot.
Thanks, thank you. I think I haven't done it yet, but I think what I'm going to do as we develop the product, I'll put session notes alongside each video. So for example, in that, there's probably about 15 things that we could pull out. And we think about her saying all the powers that be and not taking care of them. I mean, there's so much, isn't there? And then begging at the end. And and actually, just with a video like that, you could, if you wanted, I mean, you could do 90 minutes just on that, you know, what is feedback? Why is it helpful? What was she doing? Go in your breakout rooms. And they love going in their little rooms. I don't know why I said little, they're not. Going is ridiculous. Going, and I teach about language, you knew. So when they go into their rooms, and then you can say, what did the manager do well? What didn't she do? And then they can list it all and then come back. So it's beautiful, rich ground for conversations and getting people engaged.
You know, I can almost see this being used alongside you know, that liberating structures, that TRIZ, you know, where you get people to think of like the anti-goal, like how could we absolutely mess this up and make it the worst feedback possible, you know, etc. And I'm trying to think, would you show them the video before or after or whatever, or maybe you just show them before or something, but it might be nice to have a few sort of just kind of like, you know, what's some of the key learning points we could take out of it, or maybe some
I like that,
debrief type questions to go alongside each one that would be really nice.
But again, it's that realism, isn't it? So what's the worst? Or could end up in tears, or could end up resigning. That's too extreme. Whereas you know, this was just, you know what, it was lazy, it was ineffective, and nothing's going to change as a result. They're not falling out over it, but you know, they're a bit niggly.
No, but if that carried on, so what I like is to kind of go, well, if that's one conversation, what if you had 5, 6, 7, 8 conversations like that as as two people? What impact is that going to have on the relationship, and what's the knock-on effect and the consequences of having a working relationship like that? And where's that going to lead? Because I think you could go quite far with that conversation as well. Not just that, is it? It's that in the context of maybe many of those.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that you could
talk about there. I think we're proving it now. Just we could go to town on that now, and that just proves the worth of it, I think.
Yeah. You could use. I think you could actually. Sorry, just one other thought, Claire. One thing that would be helpful is as you build your library up, and you obviously get a lot of videos. One of the tricky things for trainers is going to be identifying, okay, what could this video be used for as a learning point? So if you could capture something with the videos in terms of, you know, tagging them somehow so that you can search them or find them, you know, here's everything to do with a courageous conversation or feedback or, you know, listening skills, or like that one would have been a good one around like building rapport and stuff. So if you develop the library, think about how people search for the content so they can get to the video as quickly as possible.
Brilliant idea, Chris. Thank you.
And I'm sure you're going to show us the video that says this is the right way to do it. But just the one last thing that you said about adding some trainer notes, I think that is where, you know, the video on its own is great, but you know, you might, if you're really lucky, find a good one free on YouTube. Why are we paying? We're paying because it's all there. These are all the things, and that is definitely worth paying for.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Yeah, and that's why
the time saved.
Yeah, because that's why the search feature is a key aspect of that. But also what you want to do is offer that bespoke site. So you could have like, here's like my standard library of kind of my off-the-shelf content or whatever, like, you know, that's the typical topics you cover. But then you have like almost it could be a little bit of a bespoke type level service where you then collaborate with the trainer to develop videos specific to their course. You could have like different levels. If you like. So tier, you know, maybe one tier is like, here's just like the content library, then maybe this one is that you get so much time or whatever, as, you know, in terms of working with you. And then you decide obviously what to do with that content going forward. But because that would help you to kind of position it at a couple of different levels. Or even if you say that, you know, I have another level where maybe I go into an organization and we bespoke it for a program that they've got. So you can kind of see where you could take it.
But before we get carried away,
I know, I'm sorry. That's kind of where my mind goes. I'm like, oh, she could do this.
I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will. But yeah, so let's just focus on what you've already got, Claire. So have you got an example? You know, the streaming might not be brilliant for this, but obviously it does work if you're looking at it directly. So is this a good?
Yeah, this is a good, and I will sort all the streaming out. So thank you very much for that. This is good. Can you see that, Sheridan?
Yeah, I can see that.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Matt. Grab a seat.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. You?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks so much for your time, Matt. I wanted to talk to you about your timekeeping. So I noticed last week on Monday, Tuesday and Thursday, you were 20 minutes late. The impact was the rest of the team had to work late through lunch to complete all the data entries. What I'd like us to do now is to have a conversation about you getting to work on time. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure.
So that's very short and sweet to demonstrate aid specifically. Well, if you look at the library, there's also Grow goes on from that. So they then have a coaching session about it, which is really nice. And the reason that's quite a lot of the manager talking, the AID, and I put all of that in the notes, is just aid such a great way for her to get the information out. There's no waffle, and then she wants to talk about it. So then we can show another model that would talk about it. But obviously I want to do Boost, I want to do SBI, etc. What's your thoughts on that?
But again, I think what you've done there, Claire, is to show immediately, well, it stopped, and that's wonderful for the facilitator. So where would you go now? He said it's okay. Where would you go now? So because when I used to do live training, so Natalie, Chris and Shireen, I'm sure you're the same. So it's the getting started that people find hard. It's like, I don't know how to start that conversation. So that's showing them one way to get started. So you can say, well, so how would you follow it on? And they say, well, what else could she have said? Let's give us an alternative. So I think it's a great intro.
Yeah, well, I really liked it.
And we can also have the action, the impact, coming up, the words coming up, which I've got on some other films. And again, with the SBI, you can have situation, it just beautifully fades in. We know the manager's doing the situation, then the behaviour, then the impact, etc. Yeah. I'll just show you, Chris, if I may. I know we're wrapping up shortly, but I know, Chris, you were talking about what it looks like. So this is how I have... So I don't know if you can see that there.
Yeah, can see that.
Great. So you've got your one-to-one meetings, and then it says here one-to-one meeting poor, one-to-one meeting good, and then appraisal good sex. So this is appraisal good, and then you've got the introduction. They actually talk about timekeeping then. They talk about attendance. So I've even done different assessment criteria that you might have on a performance management sheet. And then call ring, the rating, goals, etc. And then I've got that with bad as well. And then body language and tonality. So, often we want to talk about passive, aggressive, assertive, don't we? So if we were to I've got Simone, for example, here. I'll just demonstrate 10 seconds of passive where you can look at body language. So this is what you'd show for passive.
Hi there, my name is Simone from HR. Welcome to the training. You will be served coffee at 11 a.m, lunch at 1 p.m.
So that's really just to show, you can start to say to people, can't you, what was the body language like? What's the tone of voice like? And then there's an aggressive one, and then there's a lovely assertive one where it's all best practice. So, and they're only 30 seconds, so they're nice to talk about those types of things. We've got coaching. The colours is very fun. So she's saying, and also with the passive, assertive and aggressive, she's saying exactly the same words. So I know Morabian's like done and dusted. But anything you ever want to take from Arabian is a beautiful example of how the words are identical, but people feel so differently. And you can show the passive and say, how's Simone making you feel? And they go, oh, nervous, I wouldn't have any confidence in her. And then you do the aggressive, oh, I didn't like her, I was scared, I was intimidated. And then you do the assertive, oh yeah, I'd happily go and ask her anything. She made me feel loved and valued and comfortable. And then you go, well, isn't it interesting? And you get them to tell you what was the same. And the words are identical, but because of the body language and the tone of voice, you felt so different. So, and you could do 2 hours just on those three.
Yeah.
It's a rich ground for conversations. Yeah, and then you've got the green, the red and the blue. Which is really fun to show those 4 different the 4 different colour personality types, interview skills, all the different types there that you've got, leadership skills. So there's the leadership skills is when they're doing a team briefing and it's all around the negative language, and then the best practice is all powerful, visionary, getting people on board, and you can talk about the different leadership styles. Got one about mental health, unconscious bias again. There's quite lots of things in there that they say that are showing unconscious bias, and you can get them to tell you, etc., etc.
Wow.
Amazing.
So how would, and I appreciate you may, if you haven't thought this through yet, Claire, that's fine. How are you thinking people are going to access this? You said it's a subscription. So let's say Natalie did want to use a video, you know, maybe she wants to use 6 videos in her program.
Yeah.
Is she able to just stream them? Does she download them? Does she pay per use? Does she pay a one-off? Or have you not thought that through yet?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Sheridan. Thank you. So currently I can put a link in the chat and anyone can click on that and you can get a 7-day free trial. So you can access all of the videos for 7 days and use them with your learners as much as you like and can stream them. And then if you do wish to join, it's usually £60 a month to join. Because you're with Sheridan's TDC VIP club, it's half that price. It's £30
bargain.
To join. You can access all those videos and you can cancel at any time. So you're just paying for a month at a time if you wish.
I think it's very, very important. I would urge everybody who's watching this to go and check it out and have a look. So any other questions for Claire? Or Claire, is there anything else you want to show us at this stage?
I think just on a financial note, if you do sign up for the 7-day trial, the software works that you are asked to put in your card details, but if in 6 days, you will have to do that, which I know is not open and pleasurable. The great news is that on day 6, if you think this isn't for me, you just press cancel and no money will be taken out. So I have tried to, because I wanted in my guise of what I wanted to do was say you didn't have to put the card details in until you want to join, but it's not. Thank you. That's all from me, Tim. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Please email me anytime if you need to know anything. Thank you.
It's absolutely amazing, and I think just looking at the 2 that we saw, I think it's much needed because they are genuinely useful and they're realistic. More importantly, so. I think it's a real.
I think you're cornering a gap. I really do. I think it's quite exciting, and also I love your branding, Trainer TV. Just wanted to say that. It's really cool.
Thanks, Sheridan.